With Hashem's loving grace, welcome to Parshat Pearls. It's our weekly lesson on the week's Torah portion. This week's Torah portion is Va'era. It is the second Torah portion in the book of Exodus, where we learn the first 7 of the 10 plagues. It's a very profound lesson we learn in this week's portion, especially in the first 3 plagues. It's the lesson of gratitude. How do we learn this? Well, the very first plague was the plague of blood. And Hashem tells Moses to take his rod. This is Moses' rod that had very special qualities, supernatural qualities. And he says, pass the rod to Aaron and let Aaron cast the rod over the Nile, and the Nile will turn into blood. And in the second plague, Hashem tells Moses the same thing. Take your rod, pass it to Aaron, let Aaron cast the rod over the Nile, and the Nile will turn into frogs. Frogs will swarm from the Nile. And in the third plague, Hashem tells Moses once again, take your rod and pass it to Aaron and let Aaron hit the dust of Egypt, and the dust of Egypt will turn into lice. We ask ourselves a question: why didn't Hashem, why did he complicate matters and let Moses do it with this Moses' rod? Why does Moses have to pass the rod over to Aaron? Well, the answer is very simple. Rashi provides the answer. Moses owed a note of gratitude to the Nile. Because when Moses was a little baby floating in a wicker basket in the Nile protected Moses until Pharaoh's daughter could discover him within the reeds, and then she pulled him out of the water. And then so Moses couldn't do anything. They cast some bad action toward the Nile River, where he owed the Nile River gratitude. And that's the first 2 plagues. The second plague also from the Nile River, frogs, where frog came out of the Nile River. So Moses couldn't do anything detrimental to the Nile River. He could bless the Nile River because he owed the Nile River gratitude, but they couldn't do anything detrimental. And he had no gratitude. This Rashi tells us. And then in the third plague, the plague of lice, where Moses once again passes the rod to Aaron. This time Aaron doesn't only cast over the dust, he hits the dust. And as he hits the dust, Hashem does a miracle, and all the dust of Egypt turns into lice. Well, what did Moses owe the dust of Egypt? When Moses was a young man and he went out to see the plight of the Jewish people as slaves, and he saw a wicked Egyptian taskmaster brutally beating a Jew, and he did one swap to the solar plexus, and Moses killed him. Well, Moses had to flee, but while he had a chance to flee, the dust of Egypt covered the body of the Egyptian. So Moses owed a debt of gratitude to the dust of Egypt. And since Hashem knew that Moses owed gratitude, Hashem would not enable Moses to hit the ground of Egypt. No, you can't do that. That's something detrimental. Okay, and then the dust turned into a plague. Plague is detrimental. You can't enact it because you owe a note of gratitude. This is Hashem teaching Moses how deep and how profound gratitude is. Now, as is so profound, the Arizal in Kabbalah teaches us the Datzcham, the 4 levels of creation, which is Domem, Tzemach, Chaim, and Dabir. The mineral level of creation, that's the lowest level, then the plant level, then the animal level, the animal and the insects and the birds and the fish, and then the human level. Okay, so Moses owes, down here in the mineral level, he owes a note of thanks to the Nile River and to the dust of Egypt. So he can't do anything that's detrimental to the Nile River and the dust of Egypt. Now we stop and think, and if we owe to the lowest level of creation a note of gratitude, how much do we owe to the next higher creation, which is the plant level? That's higher creation. For example, if you have a flower or a plant, a rubber plant or an African violet in your home that flowers nicely and gives you gratification, and you water the plant and you smile at it and you say nice things to the plant, you see how the plant, it blooms even nice. It reacts to gratitude. It reacts to happiness. And greenhousemen with green thumbs, gardeners with green thumbs, they know, they talk to their plants. They go to the next level. You could see this in today's world. Talk to any dairy farmer. A dairy farmer, for the cows to give their optimum yield of milk, the cows have to be calm, and many have classical music in the milk parlors. And a dairyman, when he milks a cow, he speaks to the cow, knows that each cow by name, each cow has a name, and nice. And even if you have a dog or a cat, you have a pet at home, you know how a pet reacts to gratitude, to a hug, to this, nice, the pet does double. All the more people, when someone gives us a favor, someone does a favor for us, we owe a note of gratitude. Take nothing for granted. And if every husband and wife would be grateful for one another, then there wouldn't be any divorces. And we see gratitude, this is the basis. It's the basis of success, the basis of happiness. So if we have to be grateful to one another, all the more so we have to be grateful to Hashem. Because grateful people are people without a sense of entitlement. People with a sense of entitlement are spoiled people, and they're bitter because they think they deserve everything. But a person who is humble and feels that he or she deserves nothing, it has this sense of gratitude. And as Moses was so grateful, now we can understand why the Torah says that Moses was the most humble person ever walked the face of the earth, because Moses had this deep sense of gratitude that Hashem taught him for all four levels of creation. So if we have to be grateful to a person, all the more so, take it a step higher, how much we have to be grateful to Hashem. That Hashem, every heartbeat is a gift from Hashem. Every breath is a gift from Hashem. Every new day of life, every moment of life, it's a gift from Hashem. So we have to be grateful to Hashem. So what happens when we're grateful to Hashem? Grateful people are never bitter. They're always happy. And you know something? Bitter people are never grateful. They're always unhappy. That is the lesson of this week's Parsha. Be happy. Be grateful. Say thank you to anyone who does you a favor. And it doesn't matter who it is. Do you have a beautiful tree in your front lawn as you go to work in the morning? Hello, tree. Good morning, tree. Have a beautiful day. You should have nice sunlight, and your photosynthesis should work fine. You should grow wonderful. There's no limit to gratitude. People who are grateful, they have wonderful lives and happy lives. And this is what we wish for all of you. Wonderful life and a happy life. God bless for a wonderful week.